Okay, this is about recording a demo. Because, you've got your mates, you're writing songs, you're rocking out in your rehearsal room, you sound awesome. And to help you get performances or gigs, one thing that's really helpful, besides just kind of networking friends and anyone who'll let you play, is to record a demo and ultimately have a video and then get your MySpace and you Google it. No, get MySpace and what's that other one, the new one, Facebook, all that stuff. You got to get that going and get all your network going. So you start communicating with bands that do what you do, and you start grouping together and having gigs together and things like that. But you need a demo. That's the first thing you need, right? And the thing is you need a demo that will accentuate your uniqueness and your sound so that it's different. It's just not this kind of wall of, marsh the next door another band down the street sounds like and blah, blah, blah. So you have to really concentrate on recording the sound that you're going for and that you're getting. And I think one of the best ways to do that, if you've got a good rehearsal room with okay stuff, I would record with I would try and record your demo tracks live together as you've learned how to play together, so your communication is really good and your sound is really good, and you can get recorders that record 8 tracks in at once. And if you get an engineer with one of these portable recorders, you can buy them for like $600 now or something ridiculous, and he's got some good mics. And I would try recording in your rehearsal room. I've done this and I've gotten some of the best vibes on my demos that way. So what I've done is recorded into these 6-channel in mixes and then get your engineer to make you a demo that way. I mean, I feel like that's the best way to do it because it's on your turf, you're in your comfort zone, you've learned how you've composed the songs well that way, so you can execute really easily. Like, instead of like going to someone's studio, all their gear is unfamiliar, their setup is unfamiliar, the sound of the room is unfamiliar, and they're probably going to give you a sound that you don't necessarily know about. Unless, of course, you can find an engineer or a recording guy who you've heard demos that you like done by them. And then you just approach them and say, we want to sound like these guys, or whatever you did with these guys. You can do it that way. And I know guys who, you'll find a studio that handles a certain kind of sound, and you'll get out on the communication wire, and you'll find out what that studio is and where your friends have gone, and work it that way. But that's kind of a little harder than finding someone who can bring in his recorder and set up some good mics and get the sound of you guys rehearsing, and then go in and multi-track over some other parts if you want to. But just kind of keep it in your head that it's really a demo, and the key is to make your uniqueness come forward. It's not necessarily to, get the best, most fantastic sound, because if you don't communicate what it is that you do well that's different, or the same as the next guys who you want to play with together, you have to really get that unique stamp going. Otherwise, it's just going to sound like the other 20 demos that the club owner gets that day. You know what I mean? So, we'll have some affiliates on the side of the website over here, or maybe over there. And we'll set you up with some good guys who can do some demos. And take it from there. Another really good way to get a good demo too, if you can pull this off, and these have been some of the most satisfying recordings I've ever done, are actually live. You're out, you're playing live, you've got your audience, and you're really playing well because you're in the groove and stuff. And then you set up a guy with his recording gear that's taking a recording split of all the microphones and everything on the stage. So you're actually getting clean sound into the recording system. And this is kind of similar to recording in your rehearsal room, like I was talking about earlier, is that you get one of these things that record 8 inputs live. And just as an example of something I did, I was in a 14-piece funk and soul band with 5 horns, and I set up my Roland 8-track 8-in track live, and I took splits off the desk. So, and I don't want to go too deep or technical, but like I had 2 drum channels, which was overhead, snare, and kick on one. Then I had bass, 2 guitars, vocals, keyboards, and horns. And this was all happening kind of off the stage. So when I went back, everything was really clean because they were direct mic on everything. But it still had the cool vibe of the room, and you can still kind of hear shouting and having fun through the mic and stuff. And the recording had so much energy because it was exactly what we were doing, but the recording was clean. Not like if you try to record off the desk, which was the front of house mix, which, as I was saying before, can sometimes sound really strange because it's a mix of what's coming off stage and what's actually coming through the speakers. Or the other alternative to hear yourself live is to put up a couple of microphones in a bad room, and you're just going to sound bad because it's just going to reverberate around, and there'll be a bunch of standing waves that conflict, so the sound is going to be awful, and the crowd noise and the sound is going to be kind of full of reverb and air, and it's uncompressed. Whereas if you take a direct feed off the stage, then you can get a good engineer to process it with compression, EQ, and dynamics. EQ and reverb, and you'll have kind of good studio tricks at your disposal. You'll have good microphone inputs, so you'll have clean signal, but you'll still have the live vibe, and that's a great way to communicate what it is you can do successfully. So that's, I would say, the best way to do it. If you can't pull that off, or you haven't played any good shows live, or you can't bring that about, then get someone to record you live in your rehearsal room. That's kind of plan B, I think, where you're really comfortable and you've got a good sound. Okay.